our material. You can talk shortly about where the information can be found about our project. And then Irina and Nataša can talk about shortly about the past activities, what we had. So.
Thank you, Ljiljana. Okay, I will just start with naming the places from which we started to create this idea of how to address a certain space, and through certain space to investigate or question the public aspect. So here is Kinokultura. Tomorrow in the session I will talk more about its history and its now functioning model and how it was before. The space that is in Croatia, it's Motel Trogir, and the space in Serbia, Belgrade, it's Pioneer Cities. So we have Pioneer City. So we have totally different contexts and totally different spaces in a way that one was used for cultural practices, the other was used a kind of a vacation resort, and the third one was used for the youth of Yugoslavia. But all three are connected that in the period of their existing and functioning, in different periods of functioning, because different of them have different history during Yugoslavia time, before Yugoslavia time, and now in the present moment, they all perform some important public role. So we tried to develop different kinds of activities, and beside us to invite other people from the local communities, which were like artists, architects, cultural workers, cultural activists, and people that were really in some periods working in these spaces, in order to address these spaces in a way to investigate and learn more about the spaces, taking the aspect of kind of this dissonant heritage, but also the aspect of how they can be used now, what is the model of their current functioning, what kind of institution they were in the past, and how they were organized at that time, and how this can be connected to nowadays. So we developed certain frame of different activities. First, we started with the case study, which was very important in a way to learn or investigate or get information or get to know about the places and the spaces that we are focused on or working on. For example, for the Kinokultura, we had interviews with the children of the main owners or the builders of this space that was created in 1937. Then we had an interview with the director of one socialistic enterprise, which was called Skopje Cinema Network, under which Kinokultura was working in the period of Yugoslavia. Then we researched different narrations, documents, but still what is important to be said for all three places is that we don't have really a kind of institutional memory or a reliable documents and facts that we can relate now. So mostly we are relating on the narrations from the people working and using this space. So after the case study draft, we had first workshop in April in Belgrade. Irina will tell more about kind of trying to make some kind of base for certain models for these different places. And then we had also interesting study trip visit in Croatia, where we kind of learn more about the modernistic architectural heritage of Yugoslavia. But also what is most relevant and important and interesting for us, we kind of put a space for artist intervention, organized in the frame of artists in residence. So we have 3 artistic residents a kind of two of them connected with some kind of artistic production that will happen. I will name them. It's Nataša Nedeljkova, just finished artistic residence in Croatia, in Trogir and surroundings. She's a visual artist from Macedonia. We had Danilo Prnjat here in Skopje. He had 10 years residence and 10 days residence, sorry. He will continue working, and you will have possibility to hear him today at the end of this conference day with kind of a reflection on the residence framed in the theme One Potential Ideological Map of the Institutions of Culture in Skopje. And we have Doppelgangers collective, artistic collective from Belgrade, which is composed of Isidora Ilić. She will have also lecture presentation today before Danilo, and Boško Prostan. It's a kind of continual work that they are dealing with the modernistic legacy and heritage in Croatia. And at the end, we will finish with the publication in which we will try to sum up everything that we worked on and give some kind of possible models of functioning of these three spaces.
Thank you. No, maybe, Milica, you can just say a few things about where the information can be found, and then we can continue with shortly with the workshop and with study.
So when we were talking about and considering our project's visibility and media promotion, we decided that social medias are actually our tool, not because of our targeted audiences, but because it is the fastest and cheapest way to stay in touch, to be connected with your audience. But also our idea wasn't just to promote our project activities, we wanted to put it in some larger political, social context, so we are publishing also information from the similar projects in the region and beyond. And I would dare to say that our blog is a very useful resource for researchers and young academics because we are publishing recent theoretical articles that couldn't be found on other places. So visit www.dissonantcospaces.blogspot.com.
All the information can be found in this book at the end, so you can find it there. But there are more informations about also some topics that we related our research with. So, yeah, so everything is written here. Thank you.
I will be very brief and very short. Well, within our cooperative project in April of this year, the Foundation Jelena Šantić organized a regional workshop modeling public in dissonant co-spaces. The aim of the workshop was to contribute to the development of the governing models of these specific spaces in Belgrade, Trogir, and Skopje, and to search for potential models and initiatives and actions for future development within these spaces. When this, we gathered 20 various professionals and representatives from civil society organizations in different fields, from cultural management, policy, architecture, cultural heritage, from Croatia, Montenegro, Macedonia, Serbia, and we had one guest from Great Britain. At the workshop, we had the opportunity to present our midterm results from our researches, from where we started, and we gave the historical overviews there. And we had the opportunity to have two very brief presentations of our great moderators, Iva Čukić from the Ministry of Spatial Planning, and Ana Žuvela from the Institute of Social Research from Zagreb, that will here also at the conference. Their presentations actually were based on the good examples from the practices of different cities. They used different methodologies and they presented different methodologies how to use the public space in the context of encouraging the creativity in the city, from temporary to permanent spaces, but also how to develop, and they gave the overview of good partnerships between public and civil society organizations, which was a very good base for the further development of our workshop and for the future work when we gathered in different groups. So we were working in different groups. As the additional activity to this workshop, we organized a study trip to Pioneer City, which was actually as a symbolic act also because we came from the different parts of the former Yugoslavia, and the Pioneer City was also like a meeting point of youth, as we all can say that we are still very young. And we get, yeah, we are. And we got the insights from people from the Pioneer City who gave us also some kind of historical review and their plans how to further develop their institution. And actually this workshop it encompassed the exchange of professional experiences of participants, and further we developed, we analyzed 3 spaces through different perspectives and different proposals for their future use or future governance of these models. I think that the recommendations from the workshop will be also the part of the future publications, so we will see them there very defined and very, very proper. So,
Thank you, Irina.
So I will also be very brief at the end, but also a little bit critical, because somebody has to be also that. I want to say that actually within our project, within our team, there is a certain dissonance, for example. From the very start, I remember when we gathered in Skopje in 2016, I had a problem with the term dissonance, actually, because being an activist trying to somehow preserve the architectural heritage of mid-20th century, that means from socialist Yugoslavia, we are also dealing with the period of 45-90, which in Croatia is quite stigmatized and very much in relation also with the denial of anti-fascist heritage and values. And speaking about anti-fascist heritage or anti-fascism today, I cannot accept the term dissonance. This has to be somehow win and win again. Unfortunately, I have to speak like this coming from Croatia. And I understand that academics need the neutral term. And that's why the dissonance theory in heritage, in heritology was introduced. But I, being an activist on the field, I have to oppose also to this term, especially because historical revisionism tendency, again, in Croatia, I don't have such an insight for other republics, is so strong that it really conquers everything from academia to the media. So somehow, in this dissonance, we have to be very careful what we are talking, what we are naming dissonant. That's for one. Second thing, I would like to now say very positive things about these projects, but in terms of funder recognizing the ongoing 2 projects, actually that had the life of its own before. I'm coming from loose associations, and I'm the initiator of the Motel Trogir project. As I already said, it deals with the preservation of late modernist architectural heritage on the Adriatic coast, but also beyond. And this campaign actually is a pioneer campaign in Croatia and in region, somehow making some sort of shift in the field of heritage activism, introducing strong political position into it, and somehow producing knowledge that is direct opposition of historical revisionism that is taking place. I will use this term a lot because somehow all our work is framed with this. Actually, all our work is made in opposition with the tendency. So the same is with the Kinokultura, the processes of trying to gather cultural scene, non-institutionalized scene has been lasting through different shapes here for several years, right? So I really like that somehow our stories were different, but in the same time the project recognized it as good modes to somehow start dialogue in between the scenes and in between the topics. And the third partner, Foundation Jelena Šantić from Belgrade, introduced interesting new thing that means first time, I think, first time in total. They started to approach to the research of Pioneer Town in Belgrade on systematic way. So the project somehow stimulated the master thesis, if I'm not mistaken, which first time takes into account or maps or talks about this site. So somehow we have a lot of things to be proud of in this project. As far as my part of the project, Loose Associations part of the project is concerned, again I have to say we had this very nice opportunity to be in Belgrade and be in dialogue about our project with Belgrade activists, architects and culture workers, which opened some new views and helped us reflect our work so far, because Motel Trogir project is on and it's taking place in Dalmatia and in broader Croatian territories since 2013. So this kind of networking, I don't like even this word networking, but the dialogue was really stimulative and opened us a new way of thinking our project. And the study visit in Split, we did a combination also. We went to see the sites we are dealing with, researching, but also we enabled some meetings with the local art scene and visiting interesting cultural institution in Split. So this was really, really valuable for me, and really, really great moment of this project is that we introduced these 3 artists in residencies, which also serves for me as some sort of channel for reflection. You know, somehow we are all culture workers in this kind of cognitive capitalism time, so sometimes we are overburdened and overproducing. And sometimes we really lack time or frame to reflect the project. So that's why we invited our collaborators and artists like Danilo Prnjat or Doppelganger or Nataša Nedeljkova to help us also reflect what we are doing, in what way, and I thought it was great. So I don't know, there will be a chance to talk later. So.
The presentation of Danilo that will be today, at the end of the day, will concern his research and here in Skopje. So I think that would be it, and I would like now to continue with thank you so much and thank you for listening us. And I would like now to ask Professor Milena Dragičević-Šešić to give her a lecture on the subject Methods of Institutional Agency in Public Sphere, Challenges and Achievements.